Hello, I'm Sue Howorth of the Family Business Community.
And Dave Clarkson, again from the Family Business Community. And today, who do we have with us?
Hi, it's Phill Postill from Methods Marketing.
And I'm Rich Quelch, Methods Marketing as well. We come as a duo.
Indeed. Like Ant and Dec.
Actually, we were Ant and Dec. Oh, we still are Ant and Dec.
Well, we are the Ant and Dec, but also we often get coined as the... Dave will cringe at this. We used to get coined as the Kirsty and Phill.
Nice. Nice.
Love it.
Yes.
Anyway, so welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
good to see you.
Yeah, we have been searching for some time for a whole series of partners to join Family Business Community to really support all our family businesses that we act for across the UK and parts of the rest of the world now. And
Absolutely.
I guess we came across you guys 3 years ago under John Good Group, and we'll come back to that in a moment. And then sort of introducing us to Methods, and I have a background in brand, and then as soon as you started introducing what Methods was and what it was all about, I went, I love this. So really, we need you to be part of FamBiz. We need you in as one of our partners to support. So I guess really the discussion now is to find out more about the backstory to Methods, how that's come about, and really how that's going to work with the families that we engage with, because I think there's a need, but I think there's a great fit for some here.
Absolutely. And I think a really good starting point is because our first connection to yourselves was through John Good Group. And that's probably a really good place to start, Rich.
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean, from 3 years ago, when we sat in our old offices at the time, our interim offices, before we moved into our Quarry House, house of residence, we actually are employed by John Good Group. So John Good Group is a 192-year-old family business, still family owned, sixth generation now. And at the time when I joined, John Good had handed over his shares to Tim. So Tim is the second son, and he is now the full majority shareholder of John Good Group. So we are part of a family business, an incredible business, really. I can get really passionate about it in terms of its social impact that it delivers. But ultimately, we are a group of now 10 organisations, 10 operational businesses within the group. One being Methods. That's why we're here today. And the John Good Group, in terms of its dynamic, and Phill and I have worked with family businesses now for, combined about 18 years worth now. And we felt as though, because of our expertise when it comes to marketing, Methods started to take centre stage really with the conversations internally around the fact of the matter is we are a marketing go-to-market consultancy within John Good Group for the 10 operational businesses. So why not flip that out and work specifically with family businesses when it comes to B2B?
And take us back then to the family business side of things, because obviously with Sue and I, it's not just about running the business, it's the whole family element. It's the emotion element of it. So you've been part of family businesses for a number of years. What's your take on family businesses?
Well, Phill will have an opinion on this as well, but I think the biggest one for us, particularly with the John Good Group, we've joined as non-family members. So we're not part of the Good family, and that's quite a big thing for a family business to give responsibility to non-family members, and that includes Adam, the CEO. I'm the chief marketing officer of John Good Group, and Phil's head of creative for John Good and the strategic creative director for Methods, and we're given that responsibility. But as long as we take the values of the individual or the family members who want to thread that through the business, we are given the autonomy to basically grow the group of companies with respect and understanding the dynamics of a family business. Because you can imagine, you will see family business day to day and the dynamics that it may have, whether that's positive, whether that's fractious, but trying to get family members around the table to come to one agreement. I've seen it for the past 10, 11 years with the family business that I've worked with. And I enjoy the challenge of guiding a family business to the right area and the right execution when it comes to go to market. So that for us is that dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you walk into a room of any family business and you've got the structure in place, you're coming in and you're being sometimes the voice of reason, basically. You can see things impartially from what they can. And there's always going to be politics at play with the family members in that room, and there's going to be history as well. So sometimes it's a little bit of a therapy session when you're in there, trying to get everybody on the same page and say, right, okay, then what's going to move the business forward? What do we do? Let's remind ourselves of what's got us here in the first place, but we need to figure out how we're going to progress from here. And I think having an outside influence to come in who've got the legacy experience of working within a family business and for family businesses, it puts us in a really strong position to help support people who are not necessarily masters of that skill set. They're great at what they do, but they potentially haven't got the experience or the wider knowledge to help take the business beyond where it currently is.
I can imagine some of your discussions are really similar to ours in a way when ourselves and the team are working directly with family businesses. You've got that real emotional side, but then there's the rational, there's the business. It's moving it forwards and it's taking those principles and and those values sort of to make. I suppose there's the family values, but then are the business values fit for purpose for the future of the brand?
Yeah, I think with the values side of it, you're touching a good point there, basically, because there are family values.
Yeah.
But there are also business values, and sometimes they don't necessarily align.
Well, that's often actually because we have this family values actually become family principles, because I would imagine, go back to John Good Group, 6 generations. What tends to happen is back in that time, then the values that were right for that time are not fit for purpose now, but everything about that code of practice of those original values stay true. So they become almost like they're the family principles. You then born out from that business values that then are fit for purpose for now, for the current day and the future. So there's a development, but you do all that work now as well, don't you?
Well, that's it. I mean, when it's about 2.5 years ago when I joined, and one of the first conversations that I had was just understanding what our values were at John Good Group, that influence all of the operational companies, including Methods as well. And it's the people, planet and performance, basically. And that's our guiding light. And I think when you come to these sort of tokenistic taglines, sometimes people don't really live and breathe them, but the reality is we actually do, basically, and we do that especially from a charitable point of view as well, which actually ties quite nicely into our approach when it comes down to working with new clients from a Methods perspective, because we have an opinion where we don't want to spread ourselves too thin, basically, and then not give people the value that we know we can do. So we'll only take on 4 customers at any one time, which sounds like the worst scaling model of all time, basically. But the reality is it allows us to go in and then really look after, from a consultative point of view, every family business that we engage with. And we also have the 4+1 model.
I was going to say there's the 4+1 model, which is really good.
I know previous to this we've had that discussion, haven't we? But just picking back up on so people,
planet and performance.
It's a huge, the 3 pillars.
Yeah.
And it's something where, as you said, over time values kind of change and they adapt as they go. And I think how the John Good Group have basically executed the 3 Ps is taking the family values and the passions that they have when it comes to food poverty around the world, and it's ultimately how to help communities outside the business that not necessarily have the right start in life, all that kind of stuff that needs support. The 3 Ps come into it. Now, it's another way of saying ESG, just for the audience out there. ESG is a huge thing now. When people are looking to invest into family businesses or other businesses, ESG and their strategy with that business is right on the top of the list when it comes to investors, people looking to acquire. So that's come into play now. And as we've joined 3 years ago, the 3 Ps have become our 3 pillars on every decision we make as a family business.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's really good.
The people side, ultimately, from an internal sense, is we give everybody and it's nothing too special, but we give everybody the ability to have a training budget so they can go and home in on a skill set that they require, that they want to become better at. We also empower the people within the group of companies. Our teams are left to be able to make their own decisions, and that's how people grow, because they're going to make mistakes and they can learn from that. Then following into people, there's Planet. Now, Planet, arguably you could say the Matthew Good Foundation comes into this, but you could also say it comes into the people pillar. But this is one of the biggest reasons why when I first met Adam, the CEO, I didn't have a proper interview. It was more a conversation around the table around what can you do for the business that ultimately will help our social impact. So the Matthew Good Foundation comes into to play ultimately when we drive growth, and we're not ashamed to say that. And that means we become more profitable, and our EBITDA value goes up, and that's really brilliant for the stakeholders and the shareholders. But ultimately, that has a massive impact on the Matthew Good Foundation and our social impact, because a percentage of our profits are basically go into the Matthew Good Foundation, then to be distributed to micro charities across the country. Could
we just ask for the audience, really, the Matthew Good Foundation, just the connection to John Good Group, if that's, my hair's sticking on the back of the neck now talking about it, and I don't really have a connection with Matthew. And ever since joining, the story that is told and how the travesty came about, ultimately Matthew was set to take over from John. So Tim was second in line. It was actually Matthew, the first son, was ready to take over John Good Group. He was a huge athlete, an amazing long distance runner, very passionate about social impact, and he basically was doing the Humber Half Marathon. It's a local half marathon where the John Good Group offices are in Hull. And he got into a bit of trouble towards the end. He was on for a personal best because obviously he was a very good runner. And unfortunately, he got into a bit of trouble on the bridge where he actually he collapsed. And his treatment, unfortunately, was the wrong treatment. He should have been given salt rather than water.
Right.
Ultimately, from a dehydration perspective, he needed salts back into his blood. And unfortunately, passed away on the bridge. As you can imagine, from a family circumstance, that is a crossroads for a family business. That is the next son was in line to take over.
What age was he?
It's a really good question. Early 30s. I think he was 31.
Yeah, so quite a young age.
Quite a young age, and he was being basically moulded, ready to take on the John Good Group, and that's where the Matthew Good Foundation was born. It was already there anyway. Matthew was trying to create this strategy around social impact, but what a beautiful thing to do, to have something not only to have in his name, but actually the sheer amount of profit that we give into the Matthew Good Foundation. And we're now growing quite dramatically, but we're not a big blue chip. So I think we box above our weight, really, in terms of the profit we give away when it comes into the Matthew Good Foundation. And not only that, the employees, we employ approximately around about 230 to 240 now across the country, through growth, organic and acquisition. But everybody has the ability to give away every year £2,000 in their own passion, their own charities they have a link to. That for me is phenomenal as an employee, to be able to give £2,000 to a charity.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a lot of money.
That empowers you then to go, do you know what? Yes, I get it now. People, planet, perform. If we perform and we grow.
So let me just get this right. So £2,000 per person.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
We're talking to businesses and said, oh, actually, we allocate £50 each to each employee, but £2,000. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that comes back to family business.
Yeah.
But we're here today, obviously. It'd be great to learn more about methods and supporting the family businesses within our community. So I don't know, Phill, tell us a bit more about, with methods, sort of where, if I was a family business, what's the first point of call? What would happen?
Well, I think it's recognising kind of where you're at, basically, as a business, and then being sort of open to somebody coming in to support you. And a part of our process is to come in and we have what we call a discovery day, essentially. And during that day, we sort of get to understand where the business has been, what the current issues are, and get under the skin a little bit of what the potential is to make some changes in the future. And during that time, if the chemistry is not right, and we don't feel like there's a place to work with each other, quite often we'll just say, thank you very much, great to meet you, and that's that, basically. It's like a no obligation to progress with each other at that point. But quite often we find that family businesses do require that outside help. They do require that outside knowledge. And between Rich and myself and the other suppliers that we bring into the fold once we actually start to support a company, we've got about 40 years now, I want to say.
Makes me feel really old.
Like, you are quite old, to be fair.
Yeah, it's about 40 years.
About 40 years worth of experience between a CMO and a creative director. And can you imagine if you're in a family business and you've maybe got a very small marketing function, and then you are trying to bring that level of expertise in with that level of experience, we're talking about a lot of money. We're talking about a few £100,000 to cover their salaries, and it's understandable why it's a difficult thing to achieve. Yeah. So having us to be able to come in and then offer that advice and then be able to set that roadmap out of where you should go over the next 90 days, basically, because that's the way that we tend to do it. We'll give it like a 90-day sprint, and then we'll put together a marketing plan, basically, and then we'll start to roll it out from there.
So day one, bringing you in, so we get you two. That's it. And I'm not saying, is that it? Is that it? I'm talking about, so we get,
he has such a way with words.
So we get you two coming in, and day one, that whole discovery day, as you describe it, then all of that comes out of that session.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. So Phill alludes to the discovery day consultancy. That is ultimately what, as Phill eloquently explained, is it's just a kind of a over the table, let's understand the family dynamics, let's understand the business. What do you actually want to do with the business? Because that's really important. What are your struggles? Now, we are ultimately go-to-market experts. And I say that carefully because we don't get mixed into a marketing agency. I will look at front of house and back of house when it comes to a business, because that all feeds into the brand experience, the product experience for the customer. I need to understand that, and then Phill needs to understand to commercialise that proposition. From that point, we understand the full, I guess, to a certain extreme, 30,000 foot view, all warts and all of a business. So who's your big players within the company? Who's your competitors outside the business? How do you process an order? Everything we need to understand, because that then allows us to go away and go, right, you actually need, that's the next stage, is it a proposition development day? Yeah. Is it a marketing go-to-market strategy day? Is it a brand execution day? What is it? Because we don't sell stuff, or we will never sell a service just to sell a service sake.
Yeah. So it's not sort of, look, we walk in, we've got a process, and we follow this process. Well, in a way, Discovery Day defines what the next steps are. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the key differences to... I've got to be careful because I don't want to dig a hole for marketing.
Can't be controversial, Phill.
We like a bit of controversy.
But having worked in agencies over the years for a long time.
How many years, agency-wise, are you and me?
I'll say 40 again, just to make you look old.
You're amongst friends.
So I'm 7. So this is the beauty. I think this is kind of, we don't want to shy away from this. There's a unique proposition here with Methods, because we've both worked on agency side and client side. Yeah. And I think because we understand the models and the fundamentals of marketing agency, we kind of have a bit of a cheat sheet, which is great, because we'll give them an understanding where I'm not saying all marketing agencies are like this, but they will tend to mark up because they've got account managers to pay for, all that kind of good stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But Phill, you carry on with your controversy. It's good.
Well, I was going to mention that as a point from the markup perspective, but it was probably more a case of when you deal with a marketing agency, I don't think there's that requirement to really understand what success looks like for a business. Because traditionally the model of going to an agency is, here's a brief, produce me something, please. Not necessarily, we have a problem, we don't know what the problem is, we don't understand what to do about it, can you help us discover? Quite often agencies get paid for delivering, and quite often when you go to an agency and say, can you help me, they'll sell you the services that they've got the capability in-house of delivering. Yeah. So if they've got people in-house who are specialists in animation, for instance, suddenly you need an animated video. You might not need an animated video at all, basically. So what we do, as being impartial, is we try and figure out the best way to progress forward. Yeah. and without having to feel like we need to keep our staff employed in the role that they do by selling the services that they can deliver. Yeah. We will bring in experts if we need an expert bringing in a specific area to accomplish the goal, and trying to figure out what the goal is right from the beginning, and using that as our guiding light. That's what will ultimately fuel all of our subsequent decisions, really.
Yeah, I'd say it's really interesting because quite often there is that analogy of, you sort of go to market and go, I think this is what we need. And actually, when you do the purpose of the discovery day and really getting under the skin of that business and through, is actually to discover what they might have thought they needed isn't what they needed at all. It's to get to where they want to get to. So I can see sort of that purpose of the discovery day.
I think where we come at from an angle, and I say this with a lot of passion, is we're not afraid to challenge owners of businesses, because we're a fresh pair of eyeballs into the environment.
But that's what they want, and we found over the years with all of our families, you bring the people in. We talk about the experts, the people that have been out there. You brought in to tell them they are wrong, tell them where they're thinking right now. It's the wrong thinking. That's kind of what is required, rather than. And I've been in that background from brand and marketing previously, and you just walking into something and they're saying, what we need is, okay, if that's what you need, we'll just deliver that and take the cash. Thank you very much. Yeah. Rather than that, you're saying, okay, we need this. Actually, now we've heard the story, you don't need that at all. What we recommend is this, and here's why, and this is what it's going to do for you.
We have to challenge, don't we? That's in our nature to challenge. And Phill, I annoy him sometimes because I challenge Phill a lot, and he challenges me. We're not perfect, but we hold family businesses.
It sounds like a marriage.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, that's the point of a good working relationship.
No,
I mean, Dave and I, will challenge each other, and that's a good thing, because you've got to get to the answer.
You're right. You're completely right, and that keeps us on top of our game. But actually, importantly, is it's all in good challenging business owners, family members around the board table, around what they think's the right thing to do to go to market. But we don't go with just our opinion. So we can get quite passionate about opinions, can't we? We're not necessarily we're always right. But what we do is, via that consultancy day, discovery day, is we actually do a bit of digging around the industry and the market they're in. So we look at data. And you can't really argue against data. And we fuse that with a go-to-market strategy and actually commercialise their brand and their products that they've not done particularly well with. When you fuse the two together, that's a recipe for, or should I say, that's the method to be able to grow a business. So we will hold them accountable. We'll bring data to the table to give them the right decision, feel comfortable and confident that what we're talking about is right. But we bring our 40 years worth of experience to B2B businesses, because we can get passionate about B2B. We've worked with a couple of B2C, but where we sit and where our niche is B2B businesses who genuinely need, where they're looking for that step change and growth. And that's where we come in.
So you talked about what you come in from the beginning. So there's a beginning and a middle and end of everything. So where do you sort of step off? Or how does that work? What's the handover?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, it probably comes back to the agency model. People think I'm anti-agency, but honestly, I'm not. It's probably
you sound very
anti-agency. It's all those years of being an agency, basically. It's tarnished me. But no, it's a really good question, and I think it's probably one of the key benefits of using someone like Methods, where we can come in and we have what we call the 90-day sort of sprint to get things off the ground. But during that process, we basically assess who's in the business, who's going to continue doing what needs to be done once we step out, basically. And sometimes there will be people in the business who have certain skill sets, and we'll say, right, okay, then we're going to support you and give you what you need to know, and almost like train the in-house family members or staff members to continue that good work and fully equip them, basically, with everything that they need to do from a strategic perspective to continue that good work. Sometimes there is a conversation to be had saying, you know what, you need to employ. You need to bring someone in, basically, because you haven't got that function in-house, and this would fall away without that as being a problem being solved, basically. So we have our what we call the sell-by date, basically. Okay. And we do basically put ourselves out of work to a degree by saying we will work for you for this period. We will make sure that we transition, support you. You can take over the reins. Of course, we're going to come back in and help and consult as the years go by, but there is that. You're not going to be reliant on us forever. we're going to try and help you help yourself.
And I think, that's, the whole thing with how we work as well. There's a time and a reason and a life cycle of the time that you work with the business, and then you can step away. But actually, more often than not, you sort of, we get it. I don't know whether I'm sure you will. Is where you step away and there's the reaction. What, you're not coming into support us anymore, and it's you have it is a life cycle of a journey to go through. It is,
because I know we find that you step in and sit around that table, but don't get comfortable.
Yeah.
The moment someone gets comfortable, then they're not being effective, and it's at that point, you step out again, don't you?
Absolutely.
So you take it to a stage. You agree on a time when it's the right time to step away. But I guess you're always going to be there just to oversee. A bit like Sue was saying with us, is they like that reassurance. So you're kind of,
I think it's the accountability.
Still be there.
Yeah, we're there in the background.
Yeah.
There will be a regular monthly
get
together where we go, where are you at with the plan?
Yeah.
And where's the results? What's the ROI that you're investing in those certain channels? We will go through all that analysis with them on a monthly basis thereafter as we've stepped away. It feels quite perverse at the fact that we do step away after 3 or 4 months, but we're trying to get away from that model of, we've got a retainer for a year. To me, it feels a bit like, do you actually give your maximum value over that 12 months? I actually think with the energy we bring, we do deliver within 3 to 4 months what a company needs. And that's execution, that's the plan, that's the channels that they need to utilise.
You come in and make an impact on it. And then I love that 4+1 kind of idea. So we need to talk up about that as well.
Explore the 4+1.
Because you've introduced this as well by saying, actually, we only work with 4 businesses at any one time, and everyone will be going, that's not growing a business. If you get really successful, you have 4, you have 8, you have 12, and I can do my sums. It's just
I'm very impressed for a friend.
I know. But so 4+1, talk to me about that, because I love it, and others need to be aware of it.
Well, I guess it's the +1 really, isn't it? Is the elephant in the room, and starting with that and then working backwards.
I suppose it's then also trying to tell the audience about the 4. You're right. It feels a bit backward of the fact that on round numbers we will work with full time with 4 businesses, because we know the energy that you can give to an organisation rather than having, again, the marketing agency model where there's 20 clients and ultimately they are picking different services and your energy is being spread thinly.
Yeah.
That's not saying that we don't work with businesses more than 4, because we may do a workshop, which is just a standalone workshop, and that'll be it, and done with the business, and they've been given their IP, a big document at the end of it, and they can walk off with it. There's also coaching. So we actually offer a service where we can coach the marketeers within the business and owners of the business to understand how they can utilise different marketing and go-to-market strategies and implement. So, but from a 4+1, we will work with a client if it's a fully blown 4-month scale, it's 4. But the +1 is something that we've taken from where the basic principles of John Good Group, and the +1, and we can get really passionate about this, can't we? And we've already delivered a +1 already, which feels quite back to front because we've soft launched methods this year. But we've actually worked with the +1 now. We keep saying +1, but the +1 is a charity or initiative that will have a social impact on a community. But we will do that basically out of the profit and the time and the energy from methods to help a charity or to help an initiative that has a social impact on a community. So recently we've worked with Find. So Find are local to the John Good Group. I say local because John Group across the country now, but in Hull there's 2 villages, Cottingham and Hessel, and essentially they help their students who are severely autistic to give them their own independence through the day. So they actually walk into the building and find, and it's their own time. They're a grown adult. They get their independence. And we met the ladies, didn't we, a couple of years ago, and they needed help around brand positioning, marketing strategy, because a lot of charities don't feel confident to bang the drum, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they are about to launch in February a brand new brand, a brand new proposition, and to tell the story of Find and what that does and what that means to people and families that have members of their family that are severely autistic. So now we've completed that as our +1. We're actually now looking for next year in 2026 as a charity to work alongside once we get to the 4.
So that +1, so the process, everything that you go through with the businesses, you're applying that same method?
Nice, Dave.
Methods, yeah.
So that's
He's on form today.
to the charity.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think with the fines one as an example, it was an interesting one because they've been around for about 25 years and they've obviously survived in that sector and offered an absolute life-saving service for the families of the children and the students who basically attend their facilities. And through that time they will have sought certain investment to improve those facilities and be able to staff it. But because of the nature of what they do, they only know what they know basically, and that's to support families and look after them. So when it comes down to being able to expand beyond the remit and help more people, they haven't necessarily got that skill set. So I mean we looked at it, didn't we, after you did a little bit of pro bono work to go in and try and support them. So you know what, we really want to help these guys. We want them to be around in another 25 years from now. What can we do? So we made that decision, didn't we, that these are going to be our +1. And we've worked with them ever since, really, and we've pulled together the full new proposition, like Richard said. And I'm hoping that once we get to the early starts of next year and they start to engage with the rest of the local community and the rest of the businesses and really start to shout about what they can do, then they will get the additional finances that they require to support them for the next 10, 25 years. And then that's just something really to be proud of, really, isn't it? The fact that we've supported them continue the good work that they do. So, and selfishly, that's probably one of my favourite things about the +1, really, the fact that we get to work with some people like that, and then help them.
It's a brilliant concept, and a really good sort of purpose for yourselves as methods to work, and you can tell then that it fits really well with the whole John Good Group ethos.
And that's not to mention the fact that the growth of methods, which ultimately will happen. We have the Matthew Good Foundation, and we're an operational business of the John Good Group. So we ultimately, our profits will be going through into the Matthew Good. That feels unbelievable, really. The fact that we're passionate guys, we love B2B businesses, we love family businesses. You'll feel that when you walk into the room with us. I think that's quite a unique selling point, if you will, of methods. Is we're like Duracell bunnies because we care about growing businesses in the right way.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what you're doing is when you work with methods, the benefit you're giving to those communities that are attached to the Matthew Good Foundation, what an amazing supply chain that we're actually creating. And as you can see now, I can get really passionate about it. And we're really excited, to be quite honest with you, in 2026 and what family B2B businesses we can work with next year. That's something that's going to be quite special.
Yeah. And Sue, it totally fits with us in terms of identifying. We're all about giving back. We support a lot of different businesses, but also charities, and through investors in community, our other sister company. This fits so well on both sides.
But it'll fit well with the family businesses because actually, the whole purpose and the social impact, that's really important for all family businesses, whatever the dynamics, of the family. They absolutely want to ensure.
I think it's important as well to talk about the fact that, yes, we're a go-to-market consultancy when it comes to B2B, but a lot of family businesses struggle to tell the story around their impact that they have socially and around the fact that they have the really good accreditations when it comes to carbon neutrality, but sometimes they don't have to tie that together. So as part of their product or service they deliver, we'll help them do that. We'll help them support that. And that for us, we've had experience with it with John Good Group, and we feel like we've done a good job. And one of my personal ambitions for John Good Group is for other family businesses to look at it and go, they've done all right. We could do with something doing like that. And I think methods come into that quite nicely. And the fact that we have this impact wrapped around us that we can have on communities and initiatives around the UK, that for me feels like it's a really nice method. It's a great,
we got there again.
We got there again. We're all going to get methods in, aren't we? Yeah. I think as well, if you think back to what you're actually demonstrating, what you're saying you're wanting to work with other family businesses on, because you're demonstrating it through John Good Group and the Matthew Good Foundation with methods.
Well, weirdly, you make a good point, because I said to Rich when we first started talking about methods about a year and a half ago now, and that's hence the soft launch this year, is that we had that much to do within the group that it's kind of monopolised our time, really, because we had the big vision, and obviously we're supported by the rest of the chiefs and the fantastic people at John Good Group, but we had 9 other companies to address first, didn't we, before we kind of got to then rolling out in methods as well. So we've kind of had our hands full for the last year and a half, but we have been practicing what we do preach.
Yeah. Well, we remember coming in, and back
our first
probably
conversation
12 months ago,
when
you went
3 years ago.
Yes.
You were sort of like, it was almost
Yeah.
like there was things you wanted to talk about, but I can't talk about them.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, that's our life. That's kind of basically what we have to do. But most of what we do, we can't talk about. But actually, they've got something, and you introduced it, but then it was and then you disappeared off for a time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't quite right.
The timing of it, I think it was more the fact that I've used Phil's terminology, we need to sort our own house out, which ultimately was, when we first joined, John Good Group had a proposition that didn't really lend itself to the next 192 years. So that it was I can remember it was in Hull University, Adam and I, the CEO, and we had whiteboards around us and we were just scribbling, what is the proposition of John Good Group? And we landed on growing businesses together, because ultimately that's what we do. And then we can tell the story of the 3 Ps. So case in point, I guess the elephant in the room when it comes to growing and go to market is probably our travel division. That for us was the one thing for me was my objective as the CMO coming in was, how do we grow this travel division? And I joined, I think it was around about 18.5 million. It just got back to pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah.
Because the travel industry obviously was hit very hard. And my job was, how do we digitalise this product and this service, essentially, this B2B service, because it was corporate travel. And we went from 19 million, and then we organically grew to around about 26, 27. Then we bought another business that took us to 37, and then we acquired CT Group, and that then took us to, we should just shy of 96 million by the end of 2025.
Which, from a journey of 3 years,
that isn't bad going. And I think what we've done in terms of a B2B family business, specifically talking about travel, Phil and I have wrapped our arms around it from a go-to-market strategy, brand, commercial IP, and give it its organic growth that it deserves, because we knew there was such potential there. And then that was the story that came about with Methods. I said, why can't we just flip this out into the big bad world and work with other B2B family-owned businesses?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we soft launched this year. We're not ashamed to say we've soft launched, because we need to get the product and the service right for it to be right when we actually fully commercialise it and we go to market. Hence the reason we're sat around with you today.
But so you're alive and kicking though now, aren't
Yes.
you? And you know that 96 million, for instance, and you've probably got a number in our family business audience go, well, that's not us. That's no. I mean,
just thinking.
So size and scale. So am I good enough as a business? Would you want me? Would you be interested in me? Because
it's a good question.
What are you looking for?
And you'll be able to contribute as well, Phil, to this. But from my own angle, we feel at home at the sweet spot when you look at that family business around 5 to 7 million, and they want to get to that 15 million, 20 million growth trajectory. Yeah. How do we do it? So that's where we land ourselves quite nicely. And that's not to say if a family business turned over 100 million, we know we've got services that can help that 100 million business.
Sure.
But from a genuine growth trajectory that they need the right basic fundamentals in place, it's that 7 to 10 million quid mark where we can get you to 15, we can get you to 20. So hopefully that helps. I mean, I'm not sure if you've got anything you want to add in for that.
Yeah, I'd say that those figures are about right. And when it comes down to just the value that you bring in as well, basically, because what we don't do is we don't just have a hourly rate, essentially, that can just be used for a company that isn't in that same position as a £100 million turnover company. We'll sort of like price accordingly to the goals that need to be achieved by that company that we're going in support, and we'll be there for a period of time that they require as well. So we're quite flexible in that respect, and it is about the value-based pricing, because if we're going to help support somebody to go from 7 to 15 million over 2 years, then we're obviously bringing a lot to the table. And
I think that flexibility is really important, and obviously sort of goes through your own purpose and values of Methods.
Yeah.
So,
you just did a Methods there so well.
I was going to get it in.
Yeah.
We're nearly
How many did we agree? Was it 9, 10?
9, 10, I
90,
think.
90
Okay.
times.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think just to lay it on that, and I always use this analogy, and I try to wedge it into the website, which Phill is currently just trying to fine tune at the moment. But it's that whole, Phil's right, we don't charge by the hour. It's the experience that you're investing into to be able to extrapolate out of Phill and I and our partners that we will bring to the table. And we will be very transparent with the partners because you have the direct relationship with those, Mr. B2B family businesses. But the analogy that I always really like is the guy, it sounds really cheesy this, but I'm going to go with it, is the guy with a hammer with a broken down machine, essentially. And all these mechanics are coming and they can't figure it out. And it's taken them weeks and weeks and weeks to find the problem with this machine. He comes along, taps it in a certain area and goes, that's £1,000, please. Well, you've only just taken 2 minutes to diagnose what was wrong with the machine. Son, that's taken me 50 years worth of experience to know where to tap the machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that, for me, is
That
where Methods
value.
comes in because it's the value we bring in terms of go-to-market strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're really pleased. We wanted you in as a partner. We're really pleased you're now fit and ready. The soft launch is
Ready.
I'm not sure about fit.
Yeah.
That's
Off to the gym.
So to bring you out there, so we're going to put you on our the Family Business Community website. So then at least people can find out a little bit more about you and connect with you direct as well.
Yeah.
And start a conversation as they start a conversation with us. And there's some amazing things being happening.
I think, it's sort of from the visibility, there's the website, there's the team and ourselves talk about, as we do with all our partners, and where it's right and the fit's right, then absolutely, the introductions are made.
And that's perfect. I think from a Phil's perspective, because Phill is not a salesperson.
Yeah.
Whereas I can get a bit salesy. But as a group, as a two-man band, a consultancy, however you want to paint us as, we don't sell. We're not here to sell this and that. It's ultimately when the time is right for the B2B family business to come and speak to us, we will speak to you. We're not here to knock on doors every day and
I guess because you're four clients, 4+1
Exactly.
at any one time. So you're not out there trying to get more.
Exactly.
So I guess you wouldn't have to go knock on doors. I guess you'll find each other in terms of the businesses, and you go, right, this is the business to work with.
It's their own brand. You're working on others, but this is your brand with Methods to push out.
Would you say that was fair?
I would say that was fair.
Yeah.
Rich, Phill, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Yeah.